you. Ready to start when you are.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Henry Blakes here. Welcome to your Thursday edition of Weather Extra. I'm here at the First Alert desk and want to give you an update on today's forecast, a little bit of teaser and what's going on in the tropics. Many of you may remember from yesterday, picked up some pretty hefty rain across the Baton Rouge metro area. Not so much at the airport, only a trace of rain. The Glen Oaks area got a little bit more. We got a lot here at the studio at WAFB. In fact, right across the river at the port of Greater Baton Rouge and Port Allen, picked up about an inch and I believe 38 hundredths of rain. So a pretty hefty downpour came through town. We also had a couple of lightning strikes on our tower. We could see a little bit of the activity again today. You'll notice with the next 12 hours, still remaining dry, at least until we start to get to the mid to late afternoon, possibly even during our commute home. We could be dealing with some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Chances today are a little better than yesterday, up to 60%. But keep in mind, with these summer-like thunderstorms, there is the potential that there are going to be several locations that don't get rain. But if you do get the rain, you will have the potential of some brief heavy downpours as well as some gusty wind. I want to show you our future cast. This is the HRRR or the HRRR model. It is still keeping us dry through the noon hour, but by 3 o'clock could start to see a couple of isolated thunderstorms start to develop, and afterwards we could see some more scattered in nature thunderstorms across the region. And the main threats, as I mentioned, are going to be mainly gusty wind and likely heavy downpours for much of the area. But notice as we get past sunset and beyond, things start to settle down a little bit. So that's going to allow us to dry off for tonight and then kind of rinse and repeat with more shower and storm activity for tomorrow. Radar and satellite, we have some thunderstorm activity along the Mississippi, up in the state of Mississippi, pushing to the south and east. Not much happening here at the WAB viewing area, but that is likely going to change. Got a little bit of trough overhead that's going to help plunge or give us much of that Gulf moisture. But looking farther to the north, notice this cold front up in the Dakotas. That is going to be a big weather maker for much of the nation, not necessarily for rain or severe weather for many of us, but the big story is going to be the big cool down. Eventually, this front system forecast to make its way to the south as we go into next week. Now, as that happens, that'll give us some cooler but mainly drier air. So we'll have a couple of less muggy days across the area by the middle to end of next week. Rain chances not looking all that promising here across the region with that cold front. But the big story is well off to our east. That is Hurricane Erin. And Erin is still spinning out there relatively strong right now. Here's your 10 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. Max winds 100 miles per hour, still a Category 2 storm racing to the north-northeast at 18 miles per hour. And that is good news because as it continues to push east, that means it's not going to be a threat to land. So better news for Bermuda, better news for residents on the East Coast. It's going to parts of Europe, could be getting a little bit of outflow boundaries from that, but notice eventually Erin is going to have to fall apart, but notice into Monday, still possibly a tropical storm at times. Now, what is going on elsewhere in the tropics and close to home? Well, here is Erin, still a fairly large storm. There's Bermuda extending all the way to the east coast with some of those outer bands. And notice where you see shades of orange, those are tropical storm warnings due to tropical storm force winds and heavy rain and flooding, unfortunately. But once Erin does finally push farther away from the mainland, they will finally be able to get some relief. Now, on the other hand, I'm watching two more areas of disturbance in the Atlantic. We got a couple of waves making their way westward, and as they do, both of them could undergo a bit of strengthening, one more than the other. Let me show you what the National Hurricane Center forecast has. Notice for the one just in the western Atlantic, a 70% chance of tropical development or at least intensification of this wave over the next 7 days. Now, the one well to the east of there, that's the one that's kind of bearing watching and is going to be pushing a little farther to the south. It only has a medium chance of development over the next couple of days at least. But once we get towards the next week, looks like it'll move into an environment that's not all that favorable for additional development, but still something to watch nonetheless. Here is one of the spaghetti plot models, and the main track of L99 has it staying mostly to the south. There are a couple of models, I gotta let you know, a couple of models that want to bring it up into the Gulf. We'll keep an eye out on this, but for now, looking at it gradually weakening as we go into over the next 7 days. Next couple of days, some more intensification possible, but we'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. But luckily, the storm system tropical wave in the Western Atlantic could be, unfortunately, more of an impact on Bermuda than Erin was. So we'll keep an eye on that nonetheless. But for now, the good news is that there's nothing really going on in the Gulf at this time. The Gulf Coast region looking fairly decent. Just got those afternoon and evening storm chances underway. So for the time being, that's all I got for you folks. Be sure to watch 9 News at noon. Jeff Morrow will have your latest updates and timing of today's storm chances throughout the week and into the weekend, as well as more heat returning next week.